Then it goes a little something like.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to episode 11 of the Ballrooms and Bachelors podcast, where we talk about our ballroom dance experiences, Dancing with the Stars, and all things Bachelor. I'm Camille.
I'm Matthew.
All right, so let's get started. I am also adjusting to Invisalign, so I might be talking a little funny. Just we're bearing with it. On today's episode, we're going to talk about our dance experiences past week and some things that are going on at the dance studio. Matthew has something he wanted to talk about, of something that he's planning to post on the page soon. The Dancing with the Stars Memorable Moments episodes, that's on Disney Plus. And then, of course, our Bachelorettes episode recap of the part one of the two-part live finale. And then, as promised from last week, the discussion about the potential Bachelors. And those are our main topics today. So, Matthew, if you want to start it off with dance this past week.
Yeah, so this week we started off with, like we were talking about the last few episodes ago, that we were doing a contemporary group class this week, or starting this week. And that's something that I've actually been really excited about. I think I gave Elena, my instructor, like the idea for it, because I was the one that was like, oh my gosh, can we please do this? Because I've been so excited to learn it. And then she was like, yeah, okay, finally, we'll put it on the schedule. And so we did that. And it was a pretty quiet class, which is good. And I feel like that helped, because that is a contemporary is a dance. I'm sure that other dancers can kind of, they know this, is that it's a dance where you really kind of get in touch with your emotions and really feel the emotions very strongly, because it's like just a lot of like fluidity within your movements and within your limbs and stuff like that. It's not very like structured. It's just kind of like you're going through the air kind of in a cloud, kind of like that's the feeling. And usually it's like either a slow song or a sad song or something that means a lot to you. And like a lot of times you gotta really get in touch with the emotion. I was actually telling Elena, after the class, I was like, the first like 5 times we did the dance, I was kind of just still kind of to get the motions of it and stuff like that. But in the last times we did it, where she was like facing the other way, watching us do it, I felt like I could started feeling the emotion kind of like in my body. And I don't, that kind of like showed that like I was really getting in touch with the emotion. And when I was doing that, I feel like I was extending my arms and my body further that the choreography kind of like was said to do. So I felt that was really important. And again, that was really, really fun. Again, like I've been really looking forward to that class. So I'm looking forward to see what we end up doing in the next few weeks for it, the rest of the month. But it's gonna be a really cool thing. I don't know what your thoughts on the class were, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, so I think I had talked about in last week's episode, and I think I mentioned it during the bonus episode too. So I was back at the dance studio this week, and the contemporary class was the first group class I did since I've been back, and I really liked it too. You know, I know I had a lesson earlier on. I had a rough day, kind of like going into later in the day. So I came and I had a lesson, and then we did the contemporary, and then we did the choreography class. So I think I was kind of like, my brain was a little fried Monday. And I felt bad because I was like, oh man, my first day back, like I wanted it to be more exciting. And it was great. Like the class was great. I loved the class. And I think, you know, like you were talking about, I think with contemporary, you really have to feel the emotions in your body. I think for me that day, I was like, oh my gosh. But I thought it was really cool. Elena was doing some exercise with us at the beginning too, that we were just kind of like just learning about how
to react to things.
Just like the history of contemporary, and there's a lot of like acting too that you have to, there's like the acting and the creative, like creativity portion of it. So you know, it was like, okay, we're gonna start off with this exercise right at the beginning, and I was like, oh my gosh. But no, it was great. You know, I think it's, you know, it was a good class, and it's it is the first time that Elena's done contemporary in the studio as a group class, and I had done contemporary like in the past, and in the past with different instructors, we had just kind of done the choreo. We might have talked about some of these things, but I don't remember that as much. So I thought it was good that we had the balance of like talking about the just generally how contemporary is, and then doing that. And I like the choreography too. So I think she said, I don't know if we were going to keep building onto the same one or not, but
I think she said because I think she said, okay, let's record this. So I remember it. So I think we are.
That's right.
So, yes. That's gonna be fun, because I really love the choreo, and like we had said, Elena's an amazing choreographer for any style. She's trained in so many different styles, but contemporary it's something she does so well that like it's so fun to learn from her because of that. And I agree with you that the exercises we did, I think, made me kind of like, because I've never really done contemporary besides this class. I've seen it, but I've never really done it. So I think doing those exercises really kind of got my body ready to do the contemporary style, because like I was like, oh, this is what you're supposed to be feeling. It was funny because it was so hilarious because like we changed up the exercise of the theme of what we were doing like every time that we changed it. Like the first thing Elena wanted us to do was like, oh, go across the floor and react to something. And she was like, oh, like you're being chased or you're chasing somebody. And maybe you like trip over something or you stop for some reason, you look behind you and stuff like that. And it gave us examples. I thought it was really funny. The other one was she was like, I know you guys know it now because we but that was so funny. But she whispered in all the leaders' ears or on her side, that act like a clown. And we all like, and she gave us 3 options of what we could do. And ironically, we all three did three different things, which really was funny. And the way that you guys reacted to that was really funny. And so I thought that was really, really fun. Yeah, I agree.
I'm just glad I got the funny clown. Okay. You, Mr. Scary Clown over there. I would have been
exactly. Like the first thing, like with me, one of our friends, I chose to be the scary clown, and she just kept running away from me. And I was like trying to act like, oh no, it's okay. But I was like really acting trying to be like a creepy clown, and there's like a Halloween thing. And it was just so funny, and it was awesome. So yeah, those exercises I felt like got me really comfortable, or more comfortable with like actually doing the choreo rather than just like, okay, here's the choreo, go do it. Like I feel like that kind of like, if we've never done contemporary before, it was something that it got us kind of in the headspace of like being ready to do the choreo. And again, I'm just really excited to see what the class is for the rest of the month. It was so much fun.
Yeah, no, definitely. And then then we had our choreo class that we're working on. Tuesday I came back, I had another lesson, and then I stayed for the salsa class. We had a party. We can get to more of that later, but we also had Ilya come to visit, and so he's from I think he's more like in the regional
like,
I forget his exact title, but
I think it's East Coast Regional Director, but I could be wrong.
I don't want to
say the wrong title, but
I don't want to say the wrong title either direction.
Too
high up, too low. But no, he came to meet with the students. He's typically in the city and in New York City, and just to talk to us about like competing moving forward. I know we've been talking about like the November competition, the December competition. You know, we are doing this like team match style event now in November, so I am planning to do the formation dance, and I'm still on the fence. We were talking about just like figuring out how many rounds I could do with standard, and then just like which day it would be and all of this. So I kind of signed up mostly. I didn't officially sign up, but we kind of set up a plan, and I'm gonna solidify that over the next week or so. But I know you have some more updates on that.
Yeah. So as of yesterday, it's actually a pretty big update. I am, only a few people know this, I actually am switching all my stuff that I was going to do in December and in Texas to November. So I'm actually going to stay local and compete with all of you guys and all of the Dance With Me Glen Rock students. And I'm really excited about it. Yeah, I know. I'm so excited. Like I said, I know I've talked to you about this. Yeah, it's disappointing just because this has been a thing that like, I saw I talked about this in previous episodes, but when I saw the December stuff in Austin last year, I was like, okay, that's what I want to do next year. That's going to be my goal. I have the whole year. And yeah, since December of last year, I had that in my mind that was the goal I wanted to have. But like you said, when Ilya came to the studio and we met, he was telling me, he was like, are you like dead set on doing Austin? And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of what I'm wanting to do, and I've been saving up for it. And he said, yeah, okay, that's great. But if you want to consider doing, November, you'll get way more dances for your budget. And you'll just get a lot more out of it. And then kind of like talking it over with my family and just things and just thinking about things with myself, bigger picture, it just made the most sense financially for me at this time to do November, because like I said, it's like just the sign up fee for December is like double the price than November. And then like Elena told me it's like something like $25-$30 less a dance. It's significantly less. And when I was talking about it with my parents, they were like, because when I met with Ilya, he told me like I had my budget, and then when I told him what I was going to do, it was actually less than what I had like expected dance wise. But it was like I don't want to get into like the specific thing, but it was like $300 over my my actual budget. So I was already over budget, even though they took down, or it ended up like the way it would work out, I would do less dances, but it would have ended up being more money.
Yeah, a lot of it factors into, I mean, it's not like they told me this per se, but like it makes sense to me having done enough competitions. Like depending on the number of people they're expecting, it also determines like how they block stuff in the hotel. They have to determine, like, especially if it's a traveling competition, like how many students is an instructor going for. Like if they're going to have enough people, do they need a bigger ballroom or they need a smaller ballroom? And it's like that definitely affects like the price that they have to pay to the venue. So I think that like kind of tailors it for them. So yeah, I mean, selfishly, I'm happy that you're doing November. Not that I didn't want you to do December, but I'm glad that we're gonna at least be there to see your showcase and see you compete and everything.
That's like, go ahead.
No, on that side, like selfishly, I'm happy because of that.
Exactly, yeah, and that's the reason. That's why I'm really, really excited too. Like I said, if it was the thing where it's like, oh, I'm the only competition I can do is December and there's no November, or like you guys weren't going to compete or not be there, something like that. That's what it would have made like a little bit more difficult for me, because there would have been no like plan B or something like that. But there's this equal opportunity to where I get to perform and compete with you guys. We're obviously going to, like I said, do the team match dance, but then you guys get to see me compete, which you guys have never really seen me do to this level. And then my showcase dance, because like I had told you, my showcase dance, I think now, since it's earlier, I just talked about this with Elena today. I was like, we're probably going to end up having to like start the showcase dance a little bit earlier now, because we have about a month and a half rather than 2.5 months to get ready for it. And same thing with, I'm glad we have pretty much our drive routine completely down at this point, so it's just like practicing it now. That's good. But now that's what I was telling a lot of my friends, or our friends at the studio and Elena. I was like, now we have like less time, so we're really going to have to like focus on being prepared for November. But the same thing, like you said, I'm really excited about it. Yeah, it's disappointing because it was something I was really excited about, and like I had said, my grandparents to come see me since they live in Texas. But it's going to be definitely the out-of-state competition is something I do want to do, and it is a big goal of mine to do. But it might be something to where I'm like, at the beginning of the year, that's where I start saving up for it, and like maybe I don't do any other competitions that year. And then like the big thing I do is like an out-of-state competition, even if it's like fall, like they have the Orlando one this year and stuff like that in the fall. But something like that. Rather than, go ahead.
They fluctuated all the time too. I think probably just because I know, like, not necessarily with dance competitions, but that's happened to me before, because you're like telling everybody, and you probably feel like I've been telling everybody about this for a year. So like to change it just feels like you're like, not backstabbing is like a strong word, but you feel like you're just like letting people down because you're saying this.
And sometimes and even to me, I was like, am I even letting myself down? Because it's like I had this like dream or this goal for this whole year, and it's like last minute it changes, and then it's like, well, did I not get to accomplish what I wanted to accomplish? But then again, like I said, I'm still getting to do actually more than what I would have been doing. So again, it's not like I'm doing less or I'm not competing at all. It's actually kind of a better situation, because like I said, the only downside is that I'm not getting to do the travel aspect and have my grandparents come see me. Those were the two things I was really with December. But like I said, the upside is that I get to be with all my friends. We all get to compete together. You guys get to see my showcase in person rather than virtually, and stuff like that. And we all get to be together the whole weekend. I'm really interested to see, because like you had mentioned, what we've usually done the last few competitions with at the one in Jersey City. We usually do the main competition in the bottom floor ballroom, which is like the bigger ballroom in the hotel. And then the upstairs ballroom has been like sometime like lower, like parties, and then sometimes like smaller competitions or performances, stuff like that. But this year, since it's like they went from nationals down to regionals, or like an East Coast regionals kind of thing, now the whole competition, 100% of the competition is going to be upstairs in that small room or smaller room. And I'm really excited to see like what it's going to be like competing on that floor, because it's really going to be really fun, especially since it's like a smaller. I'm sure they'll like make the floor bigger because it's going to be a competition. Because the only time I booked that room was for the gala in March. So I don't know how they'll do it, because
I have competed in there before, like in 2019, the last team match competition. If you go back to the formation video, that was when we were up there, and you can look at it. The dance floor they probably had when we have the parties is like a little bit smaller,
Yeah.
but because they're gonna max it out
Right.
a little bit more, and they just have the seating around there. It's not like they necessarily have tables.
Yeah.
So it's definitely noticeable. There's a noticeable
Yeah.
difference. I know David, even the other day when we were practicing standard, he was like hooking my choreography around, and I was like,
Right.
oh, we're going one whole time around the floor now for the
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
choreo.
That's the thing, especially because like most styles, but I would feel like maybe social is a little less, but
Yeah.
mostly rhythm, Latin, smooth, and standard. Almost all four of those dance styles you travel across the floor. And
Yeah.
so like I'm interested to see how that feels because like I said, I did my 2 rhythm dances in the bottom floor ballroom, and I've danced like just like at the social things social dance breaks during the gala on the bigger ballroom floor downstairs, and it's really easy to move around on that floor because it's so big. So I'm really interested to see like how noticeable it is in terms of like traveling around and stuff like that. When I'm actually competing, especially since I'm going to be competing all day. But I'm really excited again. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I think definitely will, I'm really excited. I think it's going to be working out for the best. So yeah, like I think again, the just shock of it changing last minute was kind of the like disappointing, oh man, this is like, oh man, it's like the kind of like feeling. But when I look at it big picture, it's going to be so much fun, and I'm so excited about it. So yeah, that's the update I have for competing. And yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. I was actually talking with David tonight, and he was talking about like what he was thinking about the competition, and he was saying that if everything goes to what they're thinking it's going to be, it might be the most students competing, like whatever it is, showcase, actual competition, or the team dance, that Glen Rock has ever had.
We're coming for you. I told everyone.
Exactly. I know. That's what I said. And that's what he was saying too. He was like, he and Elena were like, this is going to be like, this is going to be the Glen Rock competition. Everybody else is just kind of like around. It's like, it's going to be the competition of Glen Rock. Exactly.
Yeah. No, I wanted to thank you. Yeah, for going over that. I think I definitely wanted to segue into like one final thing about dance this week before we go into our next topic. So yeah, we had salsa class, which was kind of just similar to the way we've done it in the past. So there's nothing too much that's new to go over that, but we did have a party on Tuesday, and we did have some of the newer students come to the party, which was really nice. And I think, they're planning to come watch. Some of them are actually planning to compete. And right now, I want to make sure we give a shout out to Odellis to thank her for thank you for watching. She has been watching every episode of the podcast because when we had Mary on, she noticed that Mary was posting about it, so she started watching the podcast. I think she said she doesn't watch the Bachelor shows. I don't know if she watches Dancing with the Stars. I gotta double check with you on that. But I wanted to give you a shout out in the episode. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for watching. You sent a lot of like kind comments and compliments to us at the party, so that was really nice. Thank you again for watching. It really meant a lot. And
maybe one day you can be a guest if you want to be.
Hey, you know what, let's go.
You just let us know. So yeah, I just want to make sure that, but
so a lot of people want to dance this week.
So there's a lot of dance this week. Okay, so I wanted to talk now, or have you talk about at least as of the time that we're recording this, you have not posted it on the podcast Instagram page. You did post it on your personal, but you filmed a music video a while back with Elena. So maybe give us some background on it so people can be on the lookout for it. Maybe by the time you're seeing the episode, it might have been posted already, but just check the Instagram page.
Exactly. Yeah, I am probably trying to plan to post it tomorrow morning, so you probably will have seen it after this, or when this posts. But I like I had mentioned in my kind of like the caption on my personal page when I posted it, I had said that at the beginning of this year, and I've said this in like the previous episodes as well, I've competed. I did my first 2 competitions this year, like back to back. They were like 3 weeks apart, and after that, like I said, that was at that point I was like, I had my mind, I was doing December, but even if I was doing November, it would be the same time frame. I I had an idea, because I was like, we're gonna have like 6-7 months, actually no longer than that, like 7-8 months to like not really getting ready for any competition. We were coming up with new routines for when we were going to compete, but our next actual competition day is not going to be until like 7-8 months from now, and we're not going to be like actively, because like when you're like a month away or like a month or two, because you know this, you really start like drilling into the choreography and the routine and stuff like that. But like when you're like 5-6 months away, you're maybe taking it a little more casually. And so that's what I was doing. And just in terms of preparation for competition. And so because of that, I was like, you know what? And this is another side note. I think I've mentioned this maybe in the first or second episode. I'm a film major at my college, and that's and my directing concentration major. So that's that's the career field I want to go into after I graduate. And obviously dance is another huge passion of mine, as is film. And I thought, you know what, since we have this like 7-8 month break from competing, let's do something that would be fun to combine those two things. And I was like, you know what? I immediately thought, let's do a music video. And so I told Elena, and she was like, yeah, that's perfect. That sounds so awesome. Let's do it. And so she started coming up with the choreography. I gave her the song that I thought would be fun. And like I had said in the caption, that we practiced it over my private lessons for about a month. And it felt weird because, like, again, this is another side note, but that took me away from our like Latin choreography for about a month. So when we went back into Latin choreography in May, it felt so weird because I hadn't done Latin in my private lessons for like a month. So like even like a few days, you probably, again, you notice that if you get out of that choreography for like a little while, it takes you a little bit to get that muscle memory back. But so I was doing that, and yeah, so then we went to go film it at the other New Jersey location of our studio, and which is a little bigger, so it was nice to film in the bigger space. And this was awesome. And I know I said this in my post, but I really want to give a huge shout out to Yuri, who's your instructor, and he is an amazing, yes, go Yuri. He's really also a huge, like, one of the things he does besides dancing is like photography and filmography. That's like one of his biggest passions too, and it's like so good. Like I've seen a lot of his reels like in the city or just other things like he films with dance, and it's so great. And I was like, okay, I know who I want to film this, because obviously I know Yuri personally, and he's an amazing videographer. So I was like, let's do it. And I asked him, and he was like, I'm down. And so we did that. We filmed it, I think, on a Saturday, like last Saturday in April this year. And I finally was able to put it out, and I spent a little bit of time editing it, because we filmed it just like you do with most music videos or film shoots, whatever. You film it multiple times so you can like edit together multiple takes, so it's not just like you have one thing and you're limited in what you can use. So we did that, and it was just so much fun. We just had an amazing time doing it, and I thought the video came out great. I know a lot of people seem to like it too, so that I'm really happy about that. It was just a lot of fun to kind of take a little break from the getting ready for a competition, just do like a little fun project that way. And like I said, I already told Elena that like I already have an idea for the next one, and I already have a style, and she's like, you know what, I'm down. So hopefully sometime next year we'll do another one, and I'm obviously gonna have Yuri do it again. So yeah, that was so much fun. I don't know, I know you probably have some thoughts on it, but
I just wanted to, because I know like around the time you filmed it, you told us, or I think you told me, because you were telling me how you wanted to show everybody, but I know when you had your birthday party, then you showed us, and I was like, this is amazing. It was so good. And then I kept nagging you, when are you posting it on YouTube? When are you posting it on YouTube? Because at that point, we were already starting to talk about prepping for the podcast, and we had like a whole conversation about like how we wanted to do it and all this stuff. And I was like, Matthew, you need to post it on YouTube. So yeah, and then he posted it now on his personal account, and I was like, okay, yeah, post it on the page. So
the problem
go ahead. Go watch it.
Yes,
it's really good.
Watch it. Any support would mean a lot. And one of the kind of main reasons for the delayed posting of it is that I had it on my computer the whole time since I filmed it, obviously, because that's where I was editing it on. But it was so hard to get that like file from my computer to my phone without losing quality, because every time I tried to send it to myself, the quality like went down to like 240p. So it was so bad, and the sound was so bad that it was not even, and Yuri's camera is like 4K, so it looked great. And so I didn't want to like post it as like such diminished quality from what he was using in his equipment. And so I was like,
I don't even think
let me just figure it out. And I know. And so I finally was able to, what was it? I was finally able, I think, to email it to myself, and then I downloaded it that way. And I was like, oh no, that's not what it was. I needed more storage on my Google Chrome account. And I was like, or Gmail account, and I was like, okay, I did that. And then finally it worked. And I was like, oh, thank God. So I finally was able to post it. And again, it seemed like a lot of people enjoy it. So that was a lot of fun. It was definitely a lot of fun to do. Elena, like we had talked about, she's an amazing choreographer, and she came up with the choreography for the video just like that. It was like in a week. She's like, hey, I have it. And I was like, oh, great. It was so good, and it was so much fun to do. I absolutely loved it, and it was just so much fun to, like I said, again, do kind of a special project like that, especially since, again, like I said, I love film as well, and that's the career I want to go into. So to combine like my two biggest passions in that way was so special. Exactly, it was a lot of fun. So yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Okay. Okay, on to our next topic.
Do it.
So Dancing with the Stars does not premiere until next week, but when I finally set up my Disney Plus and I finally set up my Fire Stick in my room, even though my mom wanted to watch it on my laptop in the living room instead of the Fire Stick in my room, but there's the Dancing with the Stars memorable moments special that's on Disney Plus that they put up. I guess they kind of wanted to put it up there as like a teaser of like getting people interested. So we are embarking on season 31 starting next Monday. So they wanted to do like a recap over the past 30 seasons, like what were 20? It was 20, I think, of the most memorable moments from Dance with the Stars. And like we've discussed, I've watched the show since season 1. When I was like 14. So I know I took more notes on this, but definitely check it out. And it's hard because I don't want to totally spoil it in case you haven't watched it, but like, you know what, this just spoiler alert. Okay. I mean, go watch it, because even if I talk about it, it doesn't do the justice of like actually seeing it yourself. So maybe I won't say them in the same order, but okay. So some of the memorable moments that I really liked that they brought up, some of the ones that were from like, I'm just trying to see, maybe like from the more immediate seasons, like the past few seasons that I really liked were, they did talk about Iman and Daniela, and it's so crazy because we were talking about some of these dances within the past few episodes of the podcast, or some of these people. Iman and Daniela, that one dance that was like from It, or
the contemporary dance. It
was just like watching it again. It was just amazing. I'm like, that was hands down one of the most memorable moments. It was up there. It was up there.
She's so great choreography. She has great choreography, and Iman was so good in it. Exactly.
I'm gonna actually just check this off. So another thing that we noticed when we were prepping for the episode, I had written down bloopers. I don't remember any of the bloopers now, but they were clearly funny enough to write bloopers. So we're just gonna skip over that.
Check off the bloopers, or check it out.
Also from like recent seasons, JoJo and Jenna, they picked one of their dances. JoJo Siwa and Jenna Johnson Chmerkovsky. So they were great. Caitlin Bristow and Artem's Britney Spears routine, which I thought of too, like when they were going through it, because I was just like, that one, that was her Argentine tango. She nailed that dance.
She absolutely did.
And I know it's like, and look, I love Caitlin and I'm happy she won. And I know like there's a lot of people, and honestly, I do feel like Me was amazing that season. And it's hard because I obviously support Caitlin because of The Bachelor, and I think she's great. And she was talented. And then, I think that some people might have been criticizing like how Caitlin did on the other nights, but like that dance to me at least proved she deserved to win. And it was like she nailed every step. Good.
And Argentine tango is not an easy dance to do. So
no, it was just so good, and like choreographically it was great. They had Derek Huff, like one of the routines he choreographed that was like a special performance that was like in a recent season. They did talk about that one. And then they had the one opening number that they did with like all the pros and some of the troupe members. That was when they were in Disneyland. So that I think was in 2019. Because my old instructor Vlad. I'm mixing everybody up. No, Vlad, who did used to teach at Dance With Me previously, and then he was on the troupe for one season. He was in that routine, so I'm glad he made it in there somehow.
That's awesome.
That was cool. And then those were like the more recent ones. They had this one, my mom like completely forgot, but I think around the 10-year anniversary of Dancing with the Stars, they did this one that was like all the NFL players that had been on up to that point. So it was like Emmitt Smith, Jerry Rice, Hines
Ward, he won.
I'm like, God, these names, because it's like, Camille, you know this many football players' names. But like because of Dancing with the Stars. And the routine was so cool because they did it with like football style, and then they had like the the lines like projected on the floor. My mom's like, I don't remember this. I'm like, I vaguely remember it. It just had been so long since I've seen it. And it's just a testament to like how well football players typically have done on the show.
Right. Yeah. A lot of them, most of them have won.
And most of them have won because you know what? I think, and that's what I've always just loved is like, there's also a point of like them trying to destigmatize dance for men, and I think that's important because a lot of ballroom dancing is the man leading the woman, and it's not like so like feminine. It's not ballet. And you know what? A lot of football players I think do ballet. A lot of male figure skaters do ballet. It helps them with, figure skating is obviously different than football, but it does help them. They have to know how to move on the floor. If they don't, and on the ground when they're playing. And I'm not like football expert, but the bottom line is it's just that just understanding biology and being an athlete, if your body doesn't know how to adjust and transition quickly in your movements, you will get injured. So ballet is honestly great training for them, and dance. So so like and some of them have been like some of my favorite people on the show.
Yeah, me too.
A few other people, Niall and Peta, that the freestyle you were talking about the other day, that was on there. Amy Purdy, who's a Paralympic skier.
Right. Yeah, I remember that.
She was on with Derek like way back when. And I think again it kind of echoes what we talked a lot about in the bonus episode of just just being happy that Dancing with Stars really has just always made a commitment to be an ally to the disabled community. And I think it was great, and I think it was so cool because they did her quick step. I think it was her quick step. And it like brought me back to, I remember that season. She has different prosthetics on her, like for her feet. And there's different ones. And I remember that she talked a lot about how each dance they had to kind of think through which one would be the best one. And it's so cool because like the ones that she had for the quick step, it was like, it's kind of, I guess it was like I don't know what material it's made of. There's like this black hook because it allowed her to have more bounce. And it's like you watch her dance and I'm like, if you're not really paying attention to her feet and you just see her moving, you can't even tell.
Yeah, I know. That's why I remember thinking the same thing. Like when she was on that season, I was like, you can't really even tell. She was that good. Exactly.
Yeah. And she was, I think they won. I'm pretty sure she won. She was really great. And then Zendaya was on the show with Val. Yeah. And I was like, oh my gosh, she was so young.
I think she was 16.
I think so. And she was so good. And she's so like, good. She's also a part of the Dance With Me family by extension too. I remember that. And
everything
then
that she did was so good.
Yeah. And then some of the other top ones were Alfonso and Whitney's Carlton, obviously. The one that I always distinctly remember was Helio Castroneves and Julianne Huff's one that they did the one that he's wearing the yellow suit and then
quick step.
Pachuco, whatever. Yeah. That one, that's one that's like burned into my brain. I'll never forget. Exactly. And then this one that I kind of forgot about, but the second they were like talking about it, I was like, yes, Cheryl and Drew Lachey's Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy.
Oh, yeah.
And they talked about how it like around the time when it aired, it just like blew up. And I think they said it was 2006. And I said to my mom, like, I was like, that's around when YouTube not started, but like I was in high school and I know I was watching YouTube at that point in time.
I think it was 5-ish, I think.
Yeah, it sounded, because like I was 15. So I'm like, that is around the time. So I think that's probably what happened is like somebody put it on YouTube and it probably blew up. Yeah. And I'd have to go back and look. But it's crazy because it's like I remembered watching these dances and then I see the pros and I'm like, wow, they look so much younger.
I know they do.
It's like crazy. It's just crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I remember seeing this thing. It was like, I think it's on YouTube and I saw it multiple times, but it's like every pro's dance, our first dance on Dancing with the Stars, like every pro that they've had on the show, they put their like first dance in order. And the crazy thing is that like 85-90% of them are like between 17 and 19 or 20 when they started. So they were that so young when they started as pros on the show. Like I think Lindsay was 18, I think Whitney was 18. Yeah. I think Derek was 17. I think Julianne was 17. I think Cheryl was like 18, 17. Something like they're all so young.
Yeah.
And they're that good. And so like it's crazy to watch them now. And they're still on the show. We're still doing something with Dancing with the Stars. And
Yeah.
Like they were so young back then.
Yeah, and there's a lot of the pros that left. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
like Tony Dovolani, like who I've met, you know, because he used to be involved with Dance with Me and co-owner, I think was his official title. But he, you know, I had done like group classes with him when he still used to co-own with Max and Val. And, you know, he hasn't been on the show in a long time. And then Karina, Anna, there's a lot.
There's like two I always think of, Lacey and Chelsea Hightower. Those are the two that I always really liked.
Edita. I think Mark Ballas's dad was on a season too.
Oh, he was on a season, right?
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I think the only thing that I was sad, I mean, I can't think of any other performances that really were like amazing that I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know why they didn't include it, except they did have that one season of Dancing with the Stars Junior, which like the juniors, and I loved that. It was amazing. It was so good. Maybe it's because it was like under a different brand name, I don't know, maybe that's why they didn't include it. But like oh gosh, the one actor, like the child actor, he did an amazing routine on that. Why do I feel like his name was Miles? I'll have to look.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah,
I think that was only one season.
Yeah, it was just like, and it was sad because those kids were really good, and like the pro kids were really good. So I don't know. I was just sad they didn't have anything about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, were there any others that you felt that they missed out on?
Yeah, there was a few. There was one that, and the only reason I remember is like I said, I started watching season 4, and that was the year the Apollo Antonono one with Julianne. Yeah. And I don't know what dance, I don't know what week this was, but I remember this was the dance that like, obviously I had watched from the beginning of season 4, but I remember this was the dance that really like, I'm like, yeah, I want to dance someday when I saw it. It was their Paso Doble, and they were like all in yellow, yellow and black. And that was something I absolutely loved. I really love it. And actually, they did some kind of a thing, I don't know what season it was, maybe like season 25, 6, something like that, where they did like a Dancing with the Stars Classics week or something like that, where those couples had to dance to a dancer routine, like from the first 10 seasons, and pick one.
Yeah.
And Frankie Muniz and Whitney danced that Julianne and Apollo danced, the Paso Doble.
I think I remember that.
Yeah, and they danced it. They did it a little bit differently, but it was really, really fun. But the choreography was the same and everything, and it was so good. And so I love that dance just because it kind of holds a special place in my heart, because that was the dance that really got me into wanting to start dancing. Let me think.
You're actually making me think of more now too.
Oh yeah, that's what I was thinking. Because I know you said you didn't have any, but I was like, maybe if I start saying something, you'll think of some.
Yeah.
But a lot of freestyles I actually like. I remember. I think they got voted off before. Yeah, they did get voted off because they were like really upset they didn't get to do a freestyle. But what's his name? Roshan Fagan from Shake It Up, Disney Channel kind of thing. He danced for Chelsea. They got voted off before freestyle, but they had like a hip hop routine that they wanted to do for freestyle, so they brought them back for the finale to dance the freestyle, which was pretty cool. Who else? There's a lot of freestyles, like I said, that I like. Oh, any of the Zendaya ones. I know they mentioned her, but one of the Zendaya things I really liked was her samba. Her samba was really good. I love that. There's another, what's her name? Janelle from Pretty Little Liars. She danced with Val like 7 years ago ish. I really loved her Paso Doble and her samba. Those were two dances that stuck out to me. There's a lot, but those are the ones that I can think of. What were the ones you have any?
So it's actually funny because I think I'm not thinking of, I was just like kind of also remembering ones that they the other ones that were in the memorable moments, like Meryl Davis's tango that she did with Max. I remember that was amazing. And then Neve's I forgot what style dance it was, but it was like the Black Swan one that he did with Jenna. Just those were other ones in memorable moments. And like Jordan Fisher, one of his dances, I forgot which dance that they had like shown on the memorable moments, but I remember like his dances were good too. I think I can.
You made me think of another one when you said Jenna. that there was one where James Hinchcliffe, the race car IndyCar driver who got in an accident like a few months before, like a deadly accident, and then he was just like just before he got on the show, he was fully recovered, and he did the show because of that reason. He came in second. It was the year that Bindi won, and so that made sense that she won because she was so good as well. But they did Sharna, which was his partner. She got hurt like halfway through the season, and so they did. They were gonna do this like Harley Quinn and Joker, Viennese Waltz. It's one of the most popular videos on YouTube of Dancing with the Stars. I think it has something like 50 million views on it. So it's like a really popular dance, but I think they danced like You Don't Own Me or something like that. But they played up the whole character of Harley Quinn and the Joker, and Jenna filled in for that week for Sharna. And that was a dance that I really liked as well. That just popped in my head.
So it's funny because I did a showcase to that song a few
years ago. That's right, yeah, I saw that, yeah.
But it was funny because when I was telling David about it, he's like, "Oh, are we doing something from like what is that movie, Suicide Squad?" I haven't watched the movie.
Yeah.
But he's like, Harley Quinn. I'm like, I didn't even know that song was in that movie. I just heard a different version of it in a commercial, and I always really liked the song for the message of the song, and I found a cooler version of it than the one that's in the commercial. So I didn't know that. Part of me is like, maybe. Did I watch the movie? I think I did watch the movie.
I did too, but after I saw the movie, I've never seen it. I mean, since then. So, but I do like the movie. But
I think I did watch it after the fact because I'm like, I need to know what that song was used for in the movie. The other one that I did think of too was like they did do that like the All-Star season that they had. And Melissa Rycroft and Tony Dovolani won.
Right.
And I don't know. Did you watch Jason Mesnick's season of The Bachelor?
Wait. I didn't, but I've seen like a lot of the Rick Replay episodes of it. So yeah, I have the gist.
He was like the first Bachelor that like picked one and then said no and then picked the other. And Melissa Rycroft was the one.
Was the person, yeah.
So gosh, I mean, I haven't really like followed anything of hers, but I just remembered like when she came on the show, I was like, you go girl. And then she didn't win her season, but then she came back, she won the All-Star season. I was like, yes.
I forgot that you actually bring up another one. This is the thing. We'll keep going on like on and on. If we keep talking about it, but you made me think of another one. There was a I don't know who it was. It was what's her last name? Kelly. She won the first season.
Kelly Monaco.
Monaco. Yeah.
She had the wardrobe malfunction.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That's what I was also like. They never showed it.
Yeah, they never showed it. And she did a paso during the All-Star season with Val, and it was so good. And they did had a lot of like performers like around them and stuff like that, but it was so good. I think they like did it again. It was like it was the time where like the judges they still had 2 nights every week because the result show was on Tuesdays, where the judges would pick the dance that they liked the night from the night before to dance again as an encore, and they did that again. And I mean that was one that I really liked. I always liked this, not a specific dance, but I always liked when they did like team something. So like they've done like team Lady Gaga, team Halloween, like team like Disney, something like they've done like all those team bands, and they have like they'll do that, and they'll have like if it's like 8 people in the competition left, they'll have like 4 couples on one team and 4 couples on the other team, and those 4 will like dance together, and then the judges will vote which team that they like better. I always thought those were fun.
Maybe hopefully the like restrictions aren't bad anymore. So maybe that's like actually possible this year. Oh my gosh. They did have a small clip of like Joe Amabile's routine when they had the other Bachelor guys come out.
Oh, yeah.
And then that one was, I mean, that's like, we're just biased because of all the Bachelor stuff. And then I remembered like Trista was on it like way back when. So
yeah.
I think that's really it.
That's pretty much it. I'm looking forward to dancing this year though.
Yeah. We were talking before we started filming too, like about Gabby's TikTok that she filmed with Val, and we're like, yes, girl, because we're gonna get into this stuff later about the Bachelorettes. But I think because I saw a story post before I went on. I think her and Val are doing a jive, and I think Charlie's doing a cha-cha.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I was looking at their steps, and I'm like, I think.
Me too, because I saw Charlie with Max or with Mark, and she was like doing lock steps, and I'm like, oh, okay. It's
yeah.
And I was like, yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Which are a pain to do if you do Latin. Like they use easy, but they're not. And so I was looking back at that. Like I said, I follow all the pros, and like I've started following all the people from the season, stuff like that. And they've been posting all their behind the scenes clips and stuff like that. So it's really, really fun. All the pros seem excited to be and really are liking their partners and stuff like that. So yeah, I think it's gonna be a fun season.
Okay. Yes, I know, but we must
get into whatever
so
we call this.
all right, so okay, start us off with Rachel and Zach, because we can kind of go in segments. I think they
Right.
because of it they kind of had to break us up. So Rachel and Zach.
Exactly. Yeah. So they obviously showed here we go. So they obviously showed the like promo at the beginning of the episode, kind of what was to expect during the episode. And I just wrote down, we'll get into this later, but they just kind of showed the whole Tino thing that like it kind of like confirms my theory of what happens next week. But so then we cut back to the studio, and it's live, just like, and I always find that, again, it's kind of funny to watch, because like the atmosphere with an audience then with like just like a taped episode or like the edited episode is really interesting. So Gabby and Rachel came out, and again I'll get to, I don't want to like delay us too much, but I just wanted to say that Gabby and Rachel looked really good. Like their outfits were great.
They were amazing.
They were amazing. And one thing that I was like, oh my gosh, Gabby, your hair. I was like, it was so different.
I think it's extensions.
I think it's extensions. Yeah.
I don't do extensions. I don't know, but I think she definitely has extensions on.
Right, exactly. So I was like, they looked great. And so that's I want to throw that out there, just in case you guys are watching. And so so yeah, going back to Zach and Rachel, they put us back right where we were last week. Remember, we ended last week at the To Be Continued, where when Rachel conveniently picked up the rose, he asked, "Can I go steal you?" Great editing choice, or whatever. So they did that, and they went out, and he had talked about how he says that he was saying a lot of stuff in past tense, which was really kind of interesting to me. And she was talking about, or he had said that during Fantasy Suites, that he really felt that he was seeing a different person than what he had seen before. Like we talked about last week, the thing that he kind of felt like was a real big kind of, it just really made him feel really weird. And that it was kind of a different side of her, was that it seemed like she was kind of talking to him about, are you ready for marriage because of your age, even though they're only like 4 months apart, I think. And so that kind of seems a little weird to most of the Bachelor fans, I think. And she said that, I think, and he was just felt very, very upset by that, because he said he wanted it to go well, because obviously the day portion went well of their Fantasy Suite day, but obviously it seemed like the night portion was not great, and the morning was kind of awkward. And so he had said that then she was saying she just wanted to get clarity, and obviously it was kind of awkward, it was kind of difficult, but she felt like that they did get the clarity. And he had said that, and this was the thing that I was not expecting, that he left himself. He eliminated himself. And I know that, again, people were kind of speculating that Rachel knew that it was probably not going to be Zach, and that she was kind of hoping that, not out of any kind of like mean way or mean-spirited way, but it was more just like she didn't want to hurt him. So she was kind of hoping that he would leave himself rather than having her to break up with him, because I think she really did care about him. And again, like I said, he was saying a lot of stuff in past tense. He had said that he felt like he knew her, but then really didn't. And then he had said that he felt like he did love her, but wasn't sure anymore, and stuff like that. So that was kind of hard to see. And that was something that I felt was really sad to watch, because I've really gotten to like Zach a lot. He said he was questioning if it was real. And I think, again, we'll get to like when they met on the live show, after we talk about this, but you could tell he was really feeling the emotions pretty hard. I think he was just really kind of just upset, like and for good reason. And he was saying that it was just something that he wished that it could have been different. And even Rachel said that she wished that she could have gotten there with him, but it just obviously wasn't meant to work out. I think I don't know, again, even if we take out all the kind of things that we know like into this episode, I still kind of feel like like obviously eiiwun, and we'll get to him, but I really feel like that Zach and her had the best connection, or one of the best connections. I feel like they could have worked out very well. And so that's what happened on the day, or the rose ceremony portion. And then this isn't much like that this is not much new information, but Avon and Tino got the roses, no surprise. But I don't know what your thoughts were on that,
Yeah.
right, when they were talking and stuff like that. But it was pretty emotional.
So today I listened to Nick Viall's podcast episode that he did with Greg Rippo on this whole episode. I listened to it today because
Yeah,
I don't listen to all of Nick's podcasts. They are good. I
they
just
are good. Yeah,
listen to so many, and then
so long, but that's not a bad thing. But it's really long.
I mean, I like listening to Greg Grippo on the different podcast episodes because he's always just been an interesting character. And I felt like he is the best person to have gotten input on this situation. And it's funny, I felt like when they talk specifically about the situation, I think Greg has a little more insight because this is similar to his situation in some ways. I was like, as Nick was explaining, I was a lot on his side of the whole analysis of the whole episode. So I might kind of like echo some of the things that he said.
Yeah.
But I think that Zach really, he handled it the best he could. I do not like the fact that Rachel went back to the guys and talked about her character being attacked because I can understand why she felt that way, but like she was not giving him the rose.
Yeah, no.
And he self-eliminated himself. So why do you need to say that to the guys? I think she just wanted to like say that.
Right.
I think her
moment,
yeah, I mean, part of me just feels like Zach latched onto her saying that thing in passing about like the not being old enough to be engaged. And I personally think that might have been one thing she said. And that obviously wasn't everything for him. I think he was just trying to cite an example of like she's saying things that just don't make sense. And where I think it was similar to what Greg's situation was with Katie was like he noticed a change in her behavior and it kind of like took him out of this like what the heck is happening? I just think that it's like it's hard for Zach. And I think the problem is like if Rachel started to realize that it's like he wasn't the right person, I think she's like maybe just like she might not realize that she starts acting a little bit differently. And some people are more like I'm pretty good at like, or I'm pretty sensitive to like noticing when somebody's off if they're acting differently. Some people cannot pick up on it. Other people can be like hyper focused on it. I am one of the second group. So like if I notice somebody just change behavior entirely, it freaks me out. So I can understand that. I just I don't know.
I don't like the whole character thing either because I didn't think that was fair to him. But
I don't think so either. I really don't think Nick didn't think so either. And I just I think she just maybe was trying to like give him subtle hints that he wasn't gonna be the person, and like it just she probably just like knew and got to a certain point and was like, okay, I just need to get through this and like whatever. But it's just really hard. But he handled it well, and she apologized to him during like later on, and I think her apology was genuine. I mean, we don't know exactly what happened, but my hunch is whatever happened downstream really made her realize her actions. And the whole like thinking that she kind of wanted him to self-eliminate, I completely agree with. And I'll, as we go through when we get to Avon later on, I'll talk about what Nick said. But
I've seen a lot of people say that too. They were like she didn't want to be kind of like the enemy in the situation, so they was like she does. A lot of people were saying that she doesn't. They thought that she didn't want to like break the bad news to him, and she already knew that because she already knew that he felt so strongly for her, and I think she felt strongly for him as well. And I feel like both apologies were very very sincere, and I like that Rachel kept saying that like a lot of times that the guys would kept saying that they were sorry, but she kept saying like you don't have to be apologizing. So she seemed like really again that I said that she was comforting him because it seemed like she was really like interested in like being just very again she's like there for them, and it didn't seem like she didn't care. It seemed like she did care for them, and just she said they both said that the feelings for him were real, and I definitely did see that because we saw what it was like on that first like kind of like movie day that they had their first one-on-one, and then also I forgot, I think it was in Bruges, but I could be wrong. It's something
Belgium, I think when was that when they had the
I mean,
was that in Amsterdam? No, I think it was in Amsterdam.
It was Amsterdam because it was the two thing, right? Yeah. So that we could definitely see that their connection was very strong. So it was not like it was fake or anything like that.
I think it's just.
And I said I thought they ended on good terms. It was not. I think they really did end on good terms.
Ultimately, like after the live thing.
Exactly. And like I said, I like him a lot. and they said they were both
Yeah.
understanding of each other, and this is something I remember that they've usually
Mhm.
asked on all these things, where they had asked, do you have any regrets, and that they both said no, but they both felt like they made a lot of memories together, which obviously we saw, and that they have mutual respect for
Yeah.
each other. So yeah, I think, yeah, I really like Zach, and it's definitely something that I think they ended on really respectful terms, and it wasn't like that they hate each other. So I'm happy about that.
Yeah, and then no, I agree. I mean, I think so. Then Avon went over to Rachel's house, and then like I felt like everything was going well with the family at the beginning.
Yeah.
Until it wasn't. No, I mean, I really liked what her dad was saying about like what are you going to say to me that's going to make me remember you more than the other guy? I love that.
Fun. That was awesome.
And then then the whole drama. And
Okay,
so Nick basically was like, you can read the family when you come on this, like when you watch the show, of like which family members have never watched the show and which of them have watched the show. And he's like, her friends have definitely watched the show.
Sure.
So they wanted to be the people that brought it to her attention in this whole thing. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't think her friends understood the purpose of what Avon was saying.
Yeah.
And they literally just heard, I'm not ready to be engaged. And then they took that and then they misquoted him and saying he wasn't sure if there was going to be an engagement at the end of this.
Yeah, I know.
And I just feel like her friends completely overreacted and they ruined the whole situation. And then like, just to consolidate my whole thoughts on the whole thing is because like later on it got brought up about like feeling blindsided and blah, 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 blah. And like all of this, I think what happened was probably when they were in the fantasy suite, he gave off this confidence of like, I'm 100% ready to be engaged. So I try to explain it on like a scale, like 1 to 100. She heard 100.
Yeah.
Okay. Or maybe I'll do it this way because 100. Okay. So I think what happened was after the fantasy suite, he had like some time and he was thinking and he's like, you know what? Wait, no, this way. He's like, you know what? Maybe I'm like, all right, I'm 75% of the way there. Okay. And I think when he didn't talk to her before that, and I think when he was talking to her family, he was conveying more of this like 75%. And since she had kind of prefaced it that he was like 100%, that when they came in and they heard 75, or he said 75, they heard 0. Right. And so they told her that he was like 0% ready, and she's thinking 100%. So that's why it felt like this big, huge, like, what the heck is going on? And they took it and blew it completely out of proportion, because it's like, that's the thing with the show, turning the people that are being sane and realistic. And Nick really talked a lot about how later on with the way their conversation went, that he felt like Rachel was using a lot of like, how do you think I feel? These words, and Avon was talking about like us, we, and the relationship. And Nick's whole point was he felt like she's just was trying to turn him into the bad guy, because she didn't want to be the bad guy, because she's like, every time it was the same thing that it was with Zach, but it's like when she talks to Tino, she can have any conversation and listen to it, and like any rational person would have been able to talk to Avon about that situation. But I think she just that's what Nick basically said. It's like she just has kind of seemed like it's been Tino from the beginning, and or from at least recent, like in the recent weeks. So it's kind of like that was the pattern he noticed, and I was like, yes, everything he was saying, I agree. So and I feel like she's just too focused on the engagement, and like he wasn't trying to weasel out of getting engaged. I think he was just nervous, and like in a normal world, people that are going to propose to someone are nervous. He's also wondering if she's even going to pick him.
Yeah, no, I know. And the thing is that I completely agree about everything you said and stuff like it's so crazy, because then Jesse, and I know we'll get to this, but he had asked both of them, do you think her friends tried to sabotage the relationship? And I don't think. I don't think they sabotaged. I don't think they wanted to sabotage, but I feel like they kind of knew this, like, oh, we're gonna like tell her this, and maybe she'll like change her mind about him. Or not change her mind, but like
just got too freaked out.
I think she got too freaked out, and I feel like they were so quick to like kind of like, oh, we don't understand the whole story, but we know what we heard, and let's go tell it to her. I feel like that was kind of like too quick, and I don't feel like that was right. And I don't think, even obviously wasn't the bad guy in this situation, I don't think Rachel was, but like the fact that she was trying to turn him into that, and that's what I felt. I don't think that was fair, because like he kept saying over and over and over again, I want to be with you. I want to leave here with you. I want to get engaged to you. I want to have kids with you. I want to he kept saying all that stuff. So, but I think what she heard was like not engaged, don't want to be with me. Like that was kind of how she like rationalized it, but that's not what he was saying at all.
No.
Which was so crazy to me. I think that's kind of the thing. And I heard a lot of other podcasts I was talking to, or I listened to.
Yeah.
Talk about this, is that she had this idea in her mind that's like, we're getting engaged right now. And it's like, if we don't get engaged right now, it's not good for me. And that's kind of like the thing she had in her head. I don't think she was any flexible with it. And it's like, I don't know.
His situation was not Johnny or
No.
Jason's situation at all. They weren't there.
No.
And then, I mean, we'll get into Eric later, but I think let's do all of the stuff with Rachel and Avon before we get into the Tino
Right.
and then Gabby and Eric stuff. But I don't know. I think it's like when they had their other date, Rachel and Avon, like she didn't even want, he was like, oh, like, why don't we have a drink? Like she didn't even want to have a drink. She was
Right,
like,
I know,
no, let's talk. I was like,
I know, that was so weird. And
he said he failed. I was like, no, you didn't.
no, I know. I thought that was so weird. And again, it was so weird because the parents really seemed to like Avon. And again, like you said, that the day seemed to go well until it didn't. And it was just so weird to me that like, I just said something, I said friends' opinions seem off, or just like the way they're expressing it seemed weird to me. And I said that obviously that they talked to her and says that she had said that he was perfect, like on paper, and said that she's not leaving without an engagement. And that's the thing that I felt was like, again, she can feel the way what she wants to get out of the show. That's fine. It's her experience and her journey. That I'm not in any place to say that she should have anything else. But I think that kind of like inflexibility of like trying to hear people out, I think might hurt her, or was hurting her, which says like, I'm getting engaged and that's like, I'm not accepting anything less. And I feel like she wouldn't even hear anything else. So
yeah. And I mean, it's like, obviously this stuff comes up later with Gabby, but Nick like made a point. He's like, I feel like Gabby seems to have a track record of like being frustrated with the situation, walking away, thinking about it and coming around.
Yeah.
Like Rachel doesn't.
No.
Gabby does. And I think, I think the other thing too is it's like, I feel like, I mean, I know some people don't like this phrase, but everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
And I feel like it happened that way to bring this issue to light. Because personally, I feel like even if Avon came in that day or before she, he met her family and talked to her ahead of time and explained, like articulated the feelings a little bit more of like how he said to her friends, which he did kind of confirm in the interview of like, he had that time to reflect. And then when they put him on the spot to answer it, he wanted to be honest. Like, that's why it kind of led to this whole situation. But like, even if she talked to him beforehand, she feel like she still might have had a similar reaction. Maybe not as like emotionally intense.
You still would have been upset.
But she would have considered a red flag.
Right.
And anytime somebody says, oh, well, he or she is perfect on paper, that means that you don't feel something there. You're missing something.
Yeah.
So when you're specifying that, it's that itself is a red flag for me when people are saying that. I'm like, okay, if you're emphasizing on paper, that means you're trying to say, but
something, is not right. It was so weird because I felt it was so weird that she seemed kind of so closed off when, and he kept trying to like, he was so apologetic and like when he went back to like the final date or in the evening, and he was so like, Rachel, he kept like trying to plead to her and saying, Rachel, I want to leave here with you. I love you. I want to get engaged to you. Again, all that stuff. I want to get married, everything. And he kept saying that, and she wasn't hearing any of it. And it was just like so kind of frustrating. Again, all she wanted to hear is, if it's not an engagement, I don't want to hear it. And I feel like that was so unfair to him just because it wasn't like, the Johnny or Jason situation where it was like, well, I'm not really sure I'm like there or I could ever be there. Avon was like, I am there with you. That hasn't changed, but like, let's just kind of make sure it's the perfect moment. I don't think that's something he should be wronged for, because it's wrong. Like it was so weird to me. And again, like I said, the fact like she kept kind of trying to be like, again, I agree with what Nick said. That's what I heard a lot too. She's like, how do you make me feel? How do you think this makes me feel, Avon? Like, have you considered how I feel? Do you like, this is how I wanted this to happen. It wasn't like, oh, let's work through this. We should work through this.
No.
So it was really weird.
Nick also said, he's like, you'd think that, like, why are they still bringing up Clayton's name like this many episodes into the season? He's
Yeah.
like, they're making some of the same mistakes. They keep faulting him for these things. They're making the same mistakes he was making. It's like, wouldn't you think that she would have a little bit more like empathy for where Clayton was at that point in time, and herself too,
Yeah.
because then she would realize it, but like she's clearly not. And that's I don't know. I think and then all right, maybe after this we'll just move on to her with Tino. But I think and it's like I don't want to sound like, because I'm like, I feel like Rachel's getting so much hate, like the memes and this and that. And it's like I'm not
like
I
I
think
don't dislike her, but I just think she could have handled it better.
it's just hard because I don't know, we're gonna have to see how the whole thing plays out, because it's like it's going to be like karma. You wanted the engagement, are you gonna get it? And then is it really gonna last, you know? And it's what would you rather? And I think that's always hard because there is the pressure on the show and you want to know that somebody's ready for it, but it's like, do you want to have an engagement that ends up breaking up, which happens, you know, because then you're better off not going through the process of getting married and potentially divorced, which, like, whatever, everybody has their own journey. But or would you rather be like, look, we're not ready to be engaged, but we're gonna leave this way? Because it's like, you know, how many people from the show, sometimes they're like, their first engagement gets like ruined in their memory because of it. So it's like he's being intentional about it, trying to make sure it's the best decision for both of them at the time.
Like, it's not like saying, no, I'm not, I don't want to be engaged to you.
Yeah, it's not what he's saying. And I think it's just people, I think the audience for sure is definitely going to be frustrated with her, because from what we see Tina's red flags again and again, and we keep seeing her make decisions to be picking him. And it's not like we're calling him a villain. It's just like
she's kind of okay with the red flags. She can still tolerate him, but with like kind of no red flags for eiiwun or even Zach, we'll have a problem.
It's the and look, if she doesn't feel the connection, she doesn't feel the connection.
Yeah, fine. Yeah, that's totally fine. Yeah.
And it's like you know, when we typically have the like stereotypical villain, and then you keep seeing them pick the person again and again, and you're like, what are you doing? It's like, why are we getting that at the very end?
Right.
And I'm not saying Tino's a villain. It's just like what the heck are you doing?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
You know?
It's so weird. Yeah.
And then we see the previews. We've been seeing these previews for weeks and weeks. So it's like the audience is kind of like, there's dramatic irony, because like we're obviously seeing these things and then whatever. So that's why it's like hard, because it's like, girl, what are you doing? But
again, I totally agree. And I guess we can move on to like what they were doing on the live show. Again, it was kind of like the same thing with Zach, where they both apologized to each other, and they felt like they, again, probably could have communicated better. And eiiwun was so apologetic, which I really didn't think he needed to be. I feel like maybe if he had to say sorry about anything, again, was just the communication thing. But even then, I feel like he just kept saying, I'm sorry, I failed. Like, and he just kept beating himself up. And I thought that was so sad. But Rachel, again, kept saying, don't be sorry, it's okay. So she was kind of she wasn't letting him just kind of beat himself up, which I think was nice. And again, I think they left each other on good terms as well.
Better, yeah.
It was better. It was just really sad to see kind of how that ended up going.
He apologized from a more
just like overall experience thing rather than what he did, I guess.
I think that he apologized from a more confident place than like the night the day that this happened, where he was like, I messed up, and I think that was important, because I think he understood.
I just felt bad that
it's not all on
in that night thing, or during the night portion, he was just pleading to her that his feelings hadn't changed and all that stuff. Yeah. And he couldn't get through to her. I don't think he knew what to do. So he just kind of gave up at some point, because she wasn't having it. So I just, again, it was really frustrating. But
and I mean, honestly, I don't even know how much more we could really talk about Tino, because like, and then we'll just say this quick. Rachel and Tino's date, he met her family. I thought it was fine. I mean, I just felt like he kind of reiterated, like, my family's gonna have to accept my decision, which totally cool. That's fine. Yeah. But then I think he said something of the like, all I talked about with my dad was sports. And I'm like, did you not talk to your father about Rachel at all?
Yeah, I know. I don't know.
That was more concerning to me than the parents' behavior, if I'm being honest. Like, why are you there?
Right. Like, exactly.
I mean, that could have also been his dad's fault too, because the dad probably just wanted to kind of like ignore the whole situation. But like,
it was, exactly. And it was
that was concerning.
That was concerning, exactly.
100%.
Right. And I thought it was so strange that also like, well, not strange, but you could tell he was really nervous when he walked in. Like you could, he was kind of like blank faced, and he kind of was not, he couldn't really make sentences, not saying that, like, it was just, you could tell he was nervous. And Rachel was really excited to again introduce him to them, and I think it went well. It was interesting to see how, like, he was talking about, oh, like how, what you guys do to make this work because of the jobs and everything like that. I remember.
Yeah. I don't know, that part of it was like
interesting. I don't know.
It seems, I don't know, and I don't think he's a bad guy. I don't have a lot of confidence in their relationship.
Yeah, me neither.
The distance.
I don't either. I feel like there's something off, and I feel like there's been something off since, I don't even know since when, but.
And I don't think he's a bad guy. Like, I don't think that, I mean, well, we'll see what happens next week. I don't think he's a bad guy. I don't see their relationship going the distance, unfortunately.
Me neither. And it might, again, we'll get to the ending later, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, so last but not least, let's talk about Gabby and Eric.
Let's do it. You want me to start, or do you want to go?
I'm just gonna say it was just a coincidence that Eric was the one that Grandpa John met on the date.
Oh, I know.
Like, forgot, and then I was just
like, oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
The whole family visit seemed to go really well, and let me tell you, her aunt is the real MVP. I was interested to see
if the aunt was the mom's sister, or if that's her dad's sister, because I'm like, if it's the mom's sister, that she has no relationship,
probably the dad's sister.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The dad's sister.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
And then I think, I just remember there was a sign somebody had in the audience, and it was basically, it said, "Grandpa John wins my final rose." Oh
no, I saw that. That was really funny. Future signs again. The producer signs again.
Yeah, I thought. Oh wait, I just want to make sure I mention this thing, so I'm moving it to the bottom of my notes. But we could talk about it later. Okay. No, I think with Gabby and Eric, like, the family visit went fine, and then their other date, that they kind of left that as a cliffhanger. I don't know, she just like walked out of the room, but I think it's similar to eiiwun's situation in some ways. Like, okay, in all fairness, Eric doesn't have the stress of worrying about there's other guys, but I feel like there's also, of course, like that feeling of like since I'm the only one left, is she just settling for me?
Yeah, right.
So that is still like a concern, you know.
Exactly.
I think he's just kind of getting like the cold feet. It's the same thing I was saying before of the whole, like, you know, it's like naturally people are going to get a little concerned before they get engaged and like nervous. So I don't know. I think that's what it is. We'll see. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I completely agree. I thought that, again, the family date went well. I absolutely love the conversation that the aunt had with Gabby. I thought that was so good. I thought it was really good. And because you can see, and we've seen this the whole season, that the relationship that she's had with her mom, or the non-relationship she's had with her mom, has really affected her and how she sees herself and kind of in relationships. And that's really sad. But just the fact that her aunt was reassuring her and everything like that was great. Obviously, Grandpa John's awesome. And I love, again, he's still using the dingbat phrase, which is really funny. Yeah. And you can tell she always seems to like gonna laugh at that.
That's what her Instagram bio says.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it's like,
it's like not a great word either.
No, I know.
It's so funny.
I guess it's.
I think that's her whole Instagram bio. I'm checking right now.
No, I think it is too. I think it's like dingbat or something like that.
All it is. I think that's all it is. I don't want to end up on opening some other video or something. Hold on. Yep, that's literally it. Dingbat. That's her whole.
That's funny. So yeah, I like that, and I thought it was really sweet when Eric walked in. He was like, "You still doing?" When Grandpa John was like, "Do you still bowl between your legs?" or something like that.
Yeah,
that was really funny. So that was fun. And like I said, we finally get to see Gabby's dad like actually talk.
Yeah.
There was that thing where on Clayton's season when
he was
brought him to Colorado.
sick, I think.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, he was. I think.
Yeah.
And I think they were kind of keeping him far away from them because they were still kind of like, it was still pandemic times where like a lot of us were still being taken. And we saw him, but really didn't like get to really know him. We got to know him now.
Yeah.
Like I said, it seemed to go really well. I agree with you that it's kind of the same with the eiiwun thing, where it's not, where he's not ready to be with her, but it's like, again, he just kind of wants it to be the right moment and not to be rushed, which I can definitely respect. Because I don't know what the percentage is, but I feel like as of recent, a lot of the actual people leaving from the show, either not married or dating or not engaged in dating, like they date outside of the show and not get engaged. Those seem to be more kind of like successful than people that get engaged on the show now. So,
Yeah, I mean, I think it always just depends on the people, and I think it's like, I think it's just so hard because, like, with obviously for Rachel and Gabby, this has been just such like a major theme that came up, like literally just in the last few weeks. Like, we didn't expect this, aside from the previews, like hinting at it constantly. I didn't expect any of this, like people bailing, like feeling like they're bailing left and right, and I don't think it's anything about the two of them. I think it's just the situation. It just could be the coincidence of the people and of the guys that are there. But
exactly, I agree.
I don't know. I just hope that the best thing works out. I know Gabby was concerned that sometimes her and Eric just don't communicate well. So like, I think that just looking at it and analyzing their relationship, I think that that's clearly been an issue the last 2 weeks of their communication.
Yeah.
So it's really just going to boil down, like the success of their relationship is going to boil down to, can they work through those issues?
Yeah, right.
That's what I think.
Agree. Yeah.
And that we'll see. I don't think like that is not going to magically happen in this 1 week. Exactly. I think the one thing everybody's been talking about is they're like, oh, well, the end clip is like everything I need to know about the show, because like Rachel looks blah and Gabby is smiling, and they're like,
and they showed that again. I remember seeing that like as like a meme or something on like when they were at like in the final shot of the live show, like Gabby kind of was like all smiling and Rachel just kind of like, like she kind of like she was not like having it, and that's what I did.
Yeah.
So it was crazy. I thought it was
really rough.
Yeah, it's gonna be rough. I think my prediction, a lot of people's predictions, is correct. I really think it is, and again, we'll get to it later. But I thought the final day that they had was really strange, or not strange. Like again, it was fine, and again, like you said, Gabby kind of will leave and then come back and kind of like after she thought about things. Did you notice the way she was kissing him? I thought that was kind of interesting. Like she kind of like he would go in for a kiss and she would kind of like back away, and then she'd like go and kiss him on the cheek or something like that. And I thought it was really funny. I noticed that. I don't know if anybody else did, but I noticed it. I also thought it was interesting where like,
I don't think I was looking at the screen. I was like kind of listening to it at that point and kind of like partially, I was multitasking as well.
I don't blame you. But it was interesting because I did that, and then like the happy music stopped when he was like, let's not rush through anything, and then she was like, wait a minute, like she had
I think she's wrestling with because like one of the clips that they had her saying like, do I just leave because he doesn't want to get engaged? Like she's just sick of having to deal with that. And I think like, whereas I feel like Rachel's kind of like, if you're not ready to be engaged, like bye. I think Gabby's just like wrestling with the whole like, what is the right decision?
Yeah, I don't think she's I don't think she's turned off, or I don't think she would be opposed to leaving not engaged. At least that's my opinion. I don't think she'd like be. I think she'd prefer it, but
I think she needs to just come around to understand, and he needs to articulate it better, because I don't think he did the greatest job in that episode. Yeah, like I don't think people generally have concerns about Gabby and Eric. I think people are more concerned about Rachel and Tina.
I think they'll work out right, exactly. Because I haven't shown for Rachel and or for Gabby and Gabby and Eric. They haven't shown really anything in the preview. It's been all Tina and Rachel. And a lot of the stuff they showed in the preview for Eric and Gabby was from this same night. So it's like going back to the same like last date night. They haven't really showed anything after the proposal. So I don't think they're tricking us.
I don't know. I'm wondering though if the whole issue with Rachel and Tino happens before the finale though.
From what I've heard, and again, I know we're kind of like a non-spoiler.
Yeah, it made sense though.
It did make sense, but from what I saw, I don't know if it's true. So I'm not gonna like say this is what I've like is accurate. But I saw a thing that like a Bachelor fan, like a fan page posted, and it says that thing in that house was filmed like 5 weeks ago. So it was fairly recently. They said it was after the taping of the Men Tell All. So it was fairly recently, apparently.
Something definitely.
Something happened.
I don't know. It's gonna be something happens.
It's definitely ugly. And like I said, I wrote down. I'm sure. I guess we can talk about that now. The ending, but they showed that Tino and Rachel in this, like, I think it's at one of those like happy couple visit things that they do. Because it was in one of those. I know I don't know what that's called. I think it's the happy couple visit or something like that. Where they see each other like once or twice a month. I think that's probably what it is.
I forgot what it is.
Rachel probably finds out something that Tino did or something allegedly he did or whatever, and then she confronts him about it. It looks really bad. So and I've heard a lot of people and saw a lot of people saying that when this stuff has happened, it's never like, oh, they had a huge fight and now they're together again. Like I don't think it usually
like
it's usually like a done thing. So I'm fairly confident, which I'm sad to kind of say, that I don't think they're probably together anymore. If they were, like, I think probably she gets to Tino and something happens and now they're not together anymore. So I'm interested to see what ends up happening. Like if she's with, again, because like if they film that, like I think they said it was like second or third week of August, which was like 4 weeks ago. So if they filmed that soon, like I don't know if it would give her time to be like, oh, let me explore something with eiiwun and Zach again. Like I highly doubt it.
I think that's done.
I think that's done too.
I think that should be done.
So like who would she go to? Or was she, I was
no one.
herself.
No
like,
one.
I think so too.
No one.
I think she'd be with no one too. I don't think there's any concern with
gosh.
It's gonna be crazy. I'm sorry, I know I'm talking a lot, but what were you thinking?
I don't know. I'm just shocked because at the one point, like, we're gonna get married to the man of our dreams, and I'm like, how are you looking this happy when everything's going on?
Right.
So, I don't know. I'm just surprised. It's gonna be crazy. I definitely want to get to the Bachelor thing, but the one other thing I wanted to add was Jesse Palmer with those ads for casting. Tired of dating married guys who drive around in creepy old vans. I was like, that is very specific.
I know he's been very specific.
That's my best one by far.
Exactly. And this is another thing I brought up. He was like, he had said, he was like, it's trending on Twitter right now that Grandpa John for Bachelor. And then people have said like, oh, are they going to do this for Bachelor? But maybe it's him. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. All right.
So yeah, I think that's pretty much of our recap of it. It was a crazy episode.
Yeah.
Even crazier second episode in AFR, and I'm really interested to see what happens because it's going to be crazy.
Potential bachelors.
Yeah. Do you want to go first?
It's going to be Zach. I kind of read a spoiler that it might be, but like, I don't know. I don't always put faith in that, but like, I doubt it's eiiwun because even the way Jesse was talking about it with him, I'm like, they're not setting him up to be Bachelor. Like we said, originally we thought it could be somebody from Paradise, but if it was, I don't think they would announce it before Paradise airs.
Right. I get people from Paradise, but again, I agree with you.
So now I'm like, no, I think it would be Zach. Was it Nick that said it in his podcast? Somebody was like, if they're gonna do double Bachelors, they should just do it right after double Bachelorettes, just to have it back to back, because even if they never want to go back to this format again, but I think it's Zach himself. I think they didn't get enough support for it to be Nate either. So I don't know. I think it's Zach. Maybe there's a chance it could be Tyler. Maybe.
Yeah.
I actually didn't even think about that till now, but I don't know. I think it's Zach. What about you?
Yeah, I put Zach at number one. They've been giving him kind of the Bachelor edit the whole season. I feel like they haven't. They've been really putting him kind of like in a good light. And I feel like, again, he's ready to be engaged. He's obviously a really, like, just really great guy. And everybody seems to like him. He has a great family from what we've seen. No, it's okay. It's late. It's late. Again, if you're like watching this tomorrow when we post it, we're filming this. It's currently 11:21 right now. So it's really late. Anyway, we both have
6 o'clock.
I know we both went up really early, so
a long day.
But yeah, I think it's Zach. I put eiiwun, but I don't think it's going to be him. I put maybe Tyler. I think if it's going to be one of the two people from this season, it'd be Zach and Tyler. But Zach, it's like 90%, and Tyler, it's like 10. And then I put Andrew Spencer, but again, that was just like a wishful thinking thing. If somebody on Paradise, but I think it's having like 95% chance.
I mean, not for nothing. Yeah, not for nothing. They did announce Clayton before we even like saw him on Michelle's season. So like, I mean, if they do pull out a random thing and then they pull out some of the Paradise people, I think it would be Andrew and Michael A, or like Andrew and Justin,
I feel
Like,
like
if
Andrew would be like the top, and then like you said, Michael.
well, it could be like if they did a double, but
double, right? But I don't think they'll do a double again. I mean, like now, like I don't know.
I mean, Jesse kind of acts like it's not out of the realm of possibility, but like, I don't know. That's the thing. They're not going to do Zach with somebody else. They would do, if they're going to do a double, it's going to be like Andrew and somebody. And
Right, exactly.
even just hearing Greg on the podcast, on Nick's podcast, I don't think he wants it.
Yeah.
But like, that's always been my hunch. And
Yeah.
he indirectly kind of like confirmed it, because I think he was just, or at least he was just talking about being grateful that he didn't have that because I think they gave him the opportunity to be Bachelor potentially, but he didn't want it. I think he was grateful that he didn't go right into Paradise, or he didn't become the Bachelor right away, because it's like when you first come off the show, it's like you go through so much, and he's like, I am not the same person I was a year ago.
Yeah.
And I think it was just like the insight, but I still don't think he would want it, because I feel like he has all that awareness now, and he's kind of like, can't.
Exactly. I think I've heard, like I said, rumors or different things that they offered it to Nate like straight up, and he didn't want to do it.
Well, no, and I think especially after what happened.
After what happened, and but I'm surprised, because again, it wasn't like, oh, it's like it's a rumor that they offered it to him, or like that, oh, maybe they're considering him. What they were saying is that they offered it to him and he said no.
Yeah.
So
I'm sorry. When you mentioned Nate, I thought of one other thing. Eric, there was some news that came up, and obviously, I guess they didn't address it in the final. If they bring Eric on after the final rose, they'll probably bring it. Apparently, there were photos from his yearbook that surfaced when he was wearing blackface, that he was dressed in a costume, and I think he was dressed as Jimi Hendrix, I think. Anyway, he did issue an apology. And it's not like our position to accept his apology or anything, but I just, I always try to look at what he says, like what people say when these issues come up. And I liked what Nate commented on it, because I just like to see, especially how the people that he was friends with on the show react. And it's always a hard situation, but I definitely just wanted to make sure that we brought it up. That was an issue that did come up, that I think it's like we don't approve of that situation. But I am glad he did issue an apology. I know it's not on us to accept it, but I just wanted to make sure that was addressed too, because if you haven't seen it, I think it's just important to go look.
I agree. I think that's really important. I'm glad you brought it up. So I think we're pretty much in agreement. Exactly. I think we're pretty much in agreement. It's going to be Zach. And I would be really happy with it. I would think that would be an awesome Bachelor season. So I would be really happy. I'm assuming you think so too.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with it. And I think it's just that, I think it was just like when you mentioned Nate, I thought about that too. And I think it was just like Nate also had those other issues come up recently. And I just think that, I don't know. I just don't think people are ready to accept him as a Bachelor either.
I agree. I totally agree.
I like him though, but
me too. And would he want to leave his daughter for like a 3-4 month stint again?
That's the other thing. So so I think all right. So I think we got through all of our topics.
It's sorry. I was gonna say there's one other thing. It's just related to the finale. Jesse had talked about how there's going to be some like special audience interactive aspect to it, which I'm interested to see what that is, because again, he said you have to tune in next week to find out what it is. I'm interested to see what it is. I don't know if it's because it never seems like they've done it. It doesn't seem like they've done that before. So I don't know.
Yeah, I was like, well, last time I was in a cruise ship thing, so I don't know if it's that, but who knows? Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's like we'll see what happens. I don't know if they meant just the audience there or they mean everybody, but I can't watch it live, so I'll find out. Exactly. But so do you have anything else you wanted to go over? Otherwise, I'll wrap it up.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. It's just going to be a crazy finale. It's been an interesting season to say the least, but it's going to be interesting to see what ends up happening next week. And I know we have our kind of thoughts and opinions of what's going to happen, but it's just going to be interesting to see what ends up happening next week on the finale for sure.
Okay. Well, okay, awesome. So thank you all so much for listening to today's episode. Please remember to like this video, subscribe to us on YouTube, hit the post notification bell, and if you enjoyed it, share it with a friend. Also follow us on Instagram at Ballrooms and Bachelors, and at our personal Instagram accounts, which are linked in our Instagram bio and appear on the end, like the end screen of the episode after this. We are also going to do a special Instagram live next Wednesday, September 21st at 10 p.m. Eastern time. Just to kind of, it's going to be like right after the Dancing with the Stars premiere, right after the finale of After the Final Rose. It will be a day later since, not everybody might get to watch it when it's live, but we wanted to have something a little more interactive for people can just like, come in, share your thoughts and stuff with us in the comments, and we'll share our like kind of initial thoughts before we put together more of a full episode for you all later in the week. So just mark your calendars for that, and see you all next week.
Yeah, see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.